Hey, what up, guys? This is Brandon from Gswaps. I just want to talk to you guys a little bit about future things going on with the Integra. This is the new engine for the Integra. Mind you, it's not a G23, it's not an H22 even, but it's a manual F20B. I wanted to give this one a go because basically I'm just in the process of building other engines. Please excuse my shop, it's a mess right now. Technically it's not a shop, it's my basement, but it's 1,000 square foot, and I've got engine parts laying everywhere because I've got multiple different engine builds I'm doing. So basically this is the one for my Integra though. This is an F20B. It's a manual version. It's going to be an H2B car. I'm still using my H2B Bro Performance kit as well. Shout out to Rice Bro on Facebook. If you're still doing this stuff, man, you get back into it because, I'm still in it and other people are still building cars too, man. Anyways, on that side note, I just want to talk little bit about what this one's going to be done. So here's the transmission for it. I've already modified it, and it has a little bit of metal shavings there I need to vacuum up, but none of that got in there because I had a rag. But you have to basically tap these holes here on your transmission to insert these larger bolts, and then these ones go into your upper two bell housing bolts on the engine right here. I did have to modify the crank a little bit for the flywheels because B series flywheels, when you go H to B or F to B, they don't have or they have a pin, they don't have the hole for the pin on the H series. That's basically what I'm trying to say. So I just had to take a grinder and a flap wheel and just shave it down flush. And I'm not taking off any metal to the crankshaft, just to the pin that holds the flywheel. As far as balance, I don't think it's going to affect anything on that issue, with that issue, so I think I'll be fine there as well. This block was not built by me, but I did change the head gasket and I did inspect the block. So it's a bone stock F20B. I just wanted to honestly just go with something just a little easier to throw in. Like it even still has the balance shafts on it. Look at those cam gears. Those are old school Japanese cam gears. I can't even remember the name of them right now. But it still has the balance shafts in the engine. I'm keeping those as well, just because I want this to be more of a driver's car, reliability kind of car. Even though it's going to have the hood exit exhaust, I still want to be able to take it places. And I'm not saying that the G23 engines are unreliable or anything like that, because I've gotten about 5 years out of a few of them. But more or less, this one's built by Honda, and the only thing that's modified to it is that I changed the head gasket and I cleaned the head, obviously, and did the ARP head studs. I just needed, I want to build a more reliable car, more a Honda car. And plus, these F20Bs are from Japan, and they were like the D-stroked H22, so they were honestly, a better version of the H22. Like, this motor should rev 9K, no problem, and I've heard of them even revving higher with modifications like aftermarket oil pumps, and stuff like that. So what makes these so great is they have 11-to-1 compression, dome top pistons. They also have the upgraded rod bolts like the newer H22 Type S engines and H23 motors have, and F23 motors have. So they don't have the nut and bolt style. They also have a iron oil pan which holds like a half. They have the F23 style oil pan specifically, and it holds like a half a quart more oil. It's a D-stroked H22 basically, 85 millimeter bore and 88 millimeter stroke, so it can rev just that little bit more. And it has iron sleeves from the factory. It's a bone stock engine minus the flywheel and the H2B kit I plan on putting on it. I just wanted to build like a driver's engine, just something that I can drive in the meantime while I build another engine, possibly 2 engines. So I could talk about those too. This engine is tore down, but it's going to be cleaned and I've already got the balance shaft delete holes threaded and all that stuff like you have to do on my kits. That I don't really sell them anymore, but I do still make them for myself whenever I need them. So yeah, this is a F22 B block, B1 or B2, I can't remember without looking at the code. So that one's going to have H23, F22 rods, and I get a really super deal on rods. So if you guys need aftermarket rods, hit me up, and I can get you some deals. So the yeah, it's going to have aftermarket rods, and I've got a extra set of F20B pistons, which are basically the stock pistons for this engine, except for they directly drop over into those without boring. So I don't have to bore anything. The wrist pin height is perfect. Like, I don't have to worry about wrist pin offsets or anything like that. This is kind of like the old school build, and this is basically what was going to be in my Integra over here. Oh, by the way, this is the Integra engine. She's tripping over stuff, damn it. But this is the Integra engine, and it is yeah, pulled out now, and obviously it's halfway taken apart. But this engine and this engine I plan on building right here are basically going to be the same style engines, except for different. So this engine it's got the same rods that are going in this engine, aftermarket rods. But this one is an F22B from Japan, if you see the code. This one has 55 millimeter bearings versus this one has 50. That's the only difference between the two builds. Oil pumps are the same. I may even possibly use this head, though I do have another G23 head sitting on the shelf over there that's actually been machined, actually surfaced, and ready to go. Both of those heads are ready to go. This one is a straight up H22A4 head, P13, and that's a PDE head, but it's an H23. But this P13, I actually, personally, I went and I put 93 millimeter or 93 pound valve springs and retainers in it, and they're Crower or BC, yeah, Brian Crower. So, but that engine, that head, I'm specifically holding back for this engine over here. I told you guys in a few videos that I had a sleeved engine. Mind you, it's just sitting on my floor right now because I just got it back from the machine shop, and I had it decked. The whole top of this is decked flat, and I also had it bored over as well to, I think they're 80, I want to say 87.5, but they're Aries pistons, and it's actually Tom June. These pistons apparently came out of one of his engines. These are black Aries pistons, and Tom June originally used the pistons in one of his engines that's going into this engine. I just had the machine shop check them, mic them, and make sure they're all good, and everything was fine. There was, the only reason why I think he pulled them is because there was a couple little scratch marks on the top where it looked like something got sucked in the engine, and it just kind of put a small little gouge. Well, that's all been cleaned up, and everything's just perfectly fine after that. There's no reason why that couldn't be reused. This is a Abe's sleeved H22A4, originally built by Abe's a few years back, and it was on a supercharged Honda Prelude engine. But it's back from the machine shop, getting ready to be put on an engine stand. Mind you, I just got it sitting in my basement floor right now on a pad, just because I don't have an engine stand ready for it at the moment. So, but I got more parts over there, shelves full of parts. There's the old B series transmission. Also, this transmission that I built, it's a B16 geared YS1 case, cable case, B16 with a CAS 1.5 LSD. So it's got a better upgraded LSD. It's the clutch type. It's the type that whenever you turn, it kind of clicks unless you press the clutch in, and it kind of, well, it doesn't really click. It just kind of wants to scoot a tire a little bit. But man, this thing locks up immediately and goes. Those are just extra parts I have sitting around. This is just my basement. I've been building these shelves lately in the past few months just because I need to get stuff off the ground. And what I did was I went and cleaned out my storage unit and brought everything here. So now I just got to make places for everything. I got tons of turbo parts, tons of H and F series engines, H and F series transmission, B series transmissions. But this engine, or this transmission here, it's the one setting up here. It's the one that I'm currently going to be using for this current F20B H2B. And this one is it's a Type R internaled YS1 transmission. It has the helical Type R final drive. I also had to shave the inside of the fan blades, the cooling fan blades that are on the inside of the transmission. That's what I think they're called, but that's what they look like they are. I had to shave those down to be able to fit this LSD in there. Not a big deal. Modifications on everything. And it's got the B16 Type R, but it's actual Type R 1 through 5 gear set, or input shaft and counter shaft. They are actually marked with the specific markings that Synchrotech said that they were Type R. So this is a Type R transmission going inside an F20B. It should rev to the moon and make plenty of torque, power wise and everything. I'm going to reuse this intake manifold here. This is a Euro R intake manifold. It's the one that I had on the car before, so it'll have a better intake flow. I'm going to reuse the clutch and flywheel, though they're just sitting on the floor and they're a little bit dirty, but I'll probably brake clean them up really good before I put them on. But the clutch literally had maybe 1,000 miles on this engine, and the flywheel or pressure plate as well. This engine, honestly, it died because it had bearing failure. I think it's because I let it sit for so long inside the car, probably at least 4 years. I was running for 3 to 4 years, I want to say. And the entire time it was running or sitting outside, I think condensation could have got inside the motor, and it could have caused the bearings to go bad whenever I actually started it up. I should have changed the oil, and I didn't. But nevertheless, also, this thing had tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of two-step just beating on it. I would drive it to car shows every now and then, and I would just just two-stepping it, and just because it was cool, and that's really what I built it for. I didn't really build it to just sit around, but it did sit around for quite a bit. But I want to say I think the two-step is what killed the rod bearings. That and the the compound, the oil being varnished, I guess it could have been. I don't know. Needless to say, whenever I pulled the oil pan and I checked the crank, the rods were toast. At least one of them. So, but nevertheless, it's going to get torn down and rebuilt. It'll have an F23 crank in it when I'm done with it. And probably stick with the 85 millimeter pistons. And I'm going to see if it's possible to combine those to the F20B rods, aftermarket rods. I think it is. Or I'll just make go forged. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. But this is the intake I'm planning on using. And transmission, I'm going to use the engine. I'm going to use the header, obviously. And I've ordered a few more parts for this thing. For my Integra, I'm deciding on whether or not I want to do a brake booster delete on the car, especially on my turbo car, because on my turbo car, it's having issues right now where I'm not making any boost, and I've tried everything. I've changed the turbo, I've changed the wastegate, I've changed the blow-off valve, I've changed the piping, I've changed the intercooler, I've changed the throttle body gasket, I've siliconed everything, I've siliconed the TPS. I've done quite a bit of work on the thing, and I just can't figure out what's going on with the Civic. I may make another video about me working on it, but I'm starting to think the only thing that I haven't really checked is the brake booster. I wonder if I could have a crack in the booster itself. That's what I'm kind of leaning towards next, and I may just do a brake booster delete. Either Chase bays is what I've been looking at for the brake booster delete kit, but they're kind of expensive, but it's worth it. I would really like to have my Civic going. I've got so much time into my turbo Civic that I've been working on, the G23 non-VTEC car, in my other videos, but it just seems to, one thing after another, I change the parts and something else breaks, but I guess that's turbo life though. But in the meantime, I do want to have my Integra finished too, as well as a driver. I've got one of them Jack Spana Racing intake, or not intake, but wiring kits for the tucked engine harnesses. I've got one of them coming in the mail, and I can't wait to modify it for the car. I also have one on my Civic as well, but I'm talking about my Integra at the moment. But I'm going to end up putting that on this engine and seeing how I can get it to work with a DA Integra. I know it's going to be a little bit of wiring and modifications to make it work. I also have the alternator wiring relocation and all that stuff. I'm basically going to copy what I did in my Civic onto my Integra, but it may be a little bit more difficult with a few things, so I got to figure that out. Yeah, everything seems to be just rolling kind of smoothly. I just need to get these engines finished, but I just don't have so much time because I got my kiddo to take care of, and whenever I have her, I'm not working on anything. I'm just spending time with her. So I love her to death, and she's my world. So, but I do want to get this other stuff finished and done, so that way I can move on to bigger projects. So yeah, so this is coming next. This will be the next engine in the Integra. Transmission, I want to try this Type R transmission just to see how well it's going to go. Type R transmission in a cable YS1 case. Everything's interchangeable. A little bit of modifications. And then after that, I'm probably going to finish building this engine right here. Get that out of the way. And then also get this one on the engine stand so I can build this one too. And just tear that one down and just set it aside for now. Because I really don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. The head will get put on something. The head may get put on there just because I love the locked VTEC cams. That's super cool the way they sound. And as far as like everything else on the engine, like the crank, it may be salvageable, may not be salvageable. If it's not, that kind of sucks. Trying to think what else. But yeah, anyways, I'm just in this little outro, and this is kind of my mess, I guess, my basement. Got tons of projects going on. I just need to focus on one thing, but it's so hard to when I need to have everything done. I've been doing some important polishing work to this. You can't really tell in the video right here, but I'll just show you real quick. But yeah, it's all pretty much ported, and I just got to go through and polish it. This cylinder head is just an H22A4. I just felt like just throwing a port and polish on it whenever I didn't have anything else to really work on. So I started that, and it's almost done actually. The complete port job's done on the exhaust side. I don't think I'm going to do the intake side. I may just take out, if I do anything, I'll just take out the just the casting and the cast marks right there. That big line going down. I take that stuff out, but it's just a mild. Because it's the intake, you don't even want to polish the intake. But I'm going to polish the exhaust side. When I get done with the exhaust side, it'll look beautiful and nice and shiny, and you can see your reflection off of it. But the intake side, I'm just going to leave rough. And what that does is you want your exhaust side smooth and polished, so that way you can get the air out faster. And even bigger, the bigger the ports so you can get the air out. But the intake side you want smaller so it can atomize the fuel. And it helps, what that means is basically the air and the fuel are mixing better. So that's what atomizing means. So yeah, that's what you want on the intake. That's why they leave the cast on those most of the times. But anyways, yeah, this is my little outro video of my basement and my mess I need to clean up, my shop. So you guys will probably see progress of this as I go along building my stuff. Also got a H22A1 engine that I've got tore down, and I'm probably going to send it off to be sleeved, even though the cylinders are perfect. And this engine's just sitting on a stand. There's nothing wrong with it except for I just need to put it together. I just haven't had the time to build it, honestly. And I was going to use H22A4 rods with it and H22A4 snap pistons because they have the snap rings and it's easier installs. So it may have that little bit of an upgrade to it, which would be a lot better than the stock press pin style. But all in all, this is my outro to my video. You know, you guys have a great day. I haven't made a video in like at least a month or so, so I figured I can give you guys an update on where I'm at with stuff. So the engine's out of the car. I didn't finish off the video on that. Probably could have made some content on it, but the engine's out of the car. This is the new engine going back in, F20B. I can't wait to see how this one goes. I figure it's a stock F20B, so it should be reliable. You know, I shouldn't have to do anything special to it or anything like that. And it's an HMO motor. So, anyways, have a great day, guys, and yeah, happy Sunday.